Hello everybody. Today we're going to do the metal upgrades on the a959b and put the ball bearings in, take the bushings out, and do a speed test. So let's get started. We're going to work on the a959b today. Have some metal upgrades for the steering. Have a set of wheel bearings. Replacement wing mount. And a servo arm that I'm not sure I'm going to use. So let's get started. I'm not going to make you watch all of the tedious stuff I'm going to do. I will selectively fast forward this stuff. Keeping in mind I've never had one of these apart, so I guess we'll learn together. I've got a nifty little electric screwdriver I just picked up. I don't know that it's got enough torque to break stuff loose. If it doesn't, we'll break them loose with something else and then unscrew them with this. Kind of helps to have a magnetic pad so that your screws don't run away. This was working pretty good. And it appears there's a nut on top of this that the four-way should fit on, I think. Yeah. And this goes all the way through. Well, it does not have enough torque to do that. Very important that you use the correct size screwdriver on this, or you will easily strip these things out. These appear to be threaded into plastic in the back. My intent at this point is to fast forward a lot of this, so I'm not going to talk too much, and if I catch myself saying something in fast forward, I'll try to slow it down for those parts. And in case I don't catch all of them, if you have any questions, just ask me in the comments. These screws are a little tedious to put back in, but what I'm finding to be the easiest way is to push this through from the bottom and then manipulate the aluminum piece until you get that matched up and then push that through. And I did the same on both sides. You're going to want to put the antenna through here. Those are really tiny. And what I generally do is I don't tighten everything up. I just get everything started. And that way nothing gets locked into a position until it's ready, until everything's started. Including the ones in the back. And this is going into plastic, so I like to spin it backwards just a bit so that I can ensure that I'm going back through the same thread instead of cutting a new thread. So turn the first little bit by hand. And I'll say this little screwdriver is the first time I've used it, so it's pretty handy. Doesn't have a lot of torque, it doesn't appear, but it certainly is quicker running these down. And it's rechargeable, and it comes with all of these little bits and a magnetic carrying case. However, this case only holds one of these and the screwdriver at the same time, and it comes with 3 tubes of these, so I guess you have to pre-plan which tube you want to put in there. Okay, just like before, turn the radio on, turn the car on, and then center. Okay, that's the middle of the servo travel. As you can see, it's no longer happy with these new components. So we now know we have the servo at the center of its travel. I'll try to set the wheels accordingly and see where we end up. Okay, that's not looking too bad. And whatever little bits left in there, I'll be able to get that out with the trimmer on the remote. So start with the tires. Before I take the other nut off of there, see, I've got a little bit of slack in here so that the wheels turn freely, and there's just a little bit of give in there, and I'm hoping when we put the wheel bearings in there that I can get the rest of that out. Decided to do it this way because I don't think I need to take all the pieces off that originally I was going to take off. Looks like I'm only going to have to take off these 2 screws right here. Like I said, I have never had one of these cars apart before, so we're all learning this together. You probably already know how to do it, but I don't, so. Yeah, probably gonna have to take that off. I don't know. Let's see if I can find a device of some sort here to push those bushings out. There's one. Man, that's a nasty mess. Well, let's see. I am going to go make a tool in my shop, and I will be back in a minute. Okay, I went out in the shop and made a little tool. There's a little bit of a ledge in here. I think if I can go in through here, I can get in that ledge and push this bushing out. Yep, that worked. So that's all it is. Just it's got a little step in there, and it's just enough to get in behind the bushing, and you could probably pull it out from this side also. But I don't know. To me, part of what I like doing is I like making tools when I run across a problem. Just make a tool to solve the problem. I'll also say it's entirely possible that I might have been able to gouge that out with a screwdriver, but I didn't want to do any more damage to this piece than necessary. I did go clean it up a little bit. I keep old toothbrushes around for that, clean that out. This is the bushing that was in there, and this is the ball bearing that's going to replace it. And that should free up a little or should have maybe I just say reduce the friction a little bit. And what I'm trying to do here is see how fast the car will go with all stock electronics, and then maybe we'll do some other upgrades down the road. But right now I'm just trying to see what we can do with stock electronics. So those just press right in where the bushings came out. Should have showed you the that's the front or the inner and outer bushings that were in there, and here is an inner and an outer bearing. This one is done. Just put it back on the car, and just for fun, I'm going to put the hub in there. Oops.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, that's turns very freely. Just make sure that their bearings are seated properly, and put this one back on the car. Don't forget to put the dog bone back in. And I didn't upgrade these to metal. At some point I might, but for right now, I'm not. And these you want to snug up, but you don't want this to be hard to move. You don't want it to be flippy floppy, or whatever other terminology you would care to use. You don't want it to have a lot of slop in it, a lot of slack in it. What you want it to do is pivot, but keep its alignment. And this is a lot easier to set properly. I see right there, it would be hard for the servo to steer that. So I'm going to have to back that one off just a tad. Just a tad more. When you get down to that level right there, I mean, I'm turning like in half-hour increments if you were to compare it to a clock, and that moves very freely. We'll do this one. I put the other screw in before I did this one so that I could be sure the alignment was correct. Okay, that feels good. So I'll do a rear. I'm not going to do both fronts and both rears on camera. I think you are intelligent enough to see what I've done on this one side, and the other side's going to be a duplicate. Now this looks like it just has one long screw that goes through. We might be able to do it without taking the top part off. Hey, this screw is bent. Definitely bent. And I don't have another one of these. This one will go back in for today. I don't know if I did that when I did some of my somersaults or exactly what happened, but yeah, there's enough slack in there. We can probably do this one on the car just for fun. Let's see how much. Oh wow, that's, you know what, it's not that it's that difficult to turn, but I can feel sand in there because I drove this in the dirt, and there is definitely debris in there, so it's kind of grabby. So I'm thinking that the new bearings are gonna lift more than what it is right now. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if this will push the front one out, or the outside one out. came out okay. Let's see if I can grab this with my new little tool. That worked perfectly. Man, and this goes to the argument of some people say to put oil on this and some people say not to. And this doesn't settle the debate at all, but you can see I did put a little bit of a drop or two of machine oil on here, and you can see what a nasty mess it is, although it was turning freely except for the grit that was in there. It's still a nasty mess, and it would have a tendency to attract dirt, but that is all up to everybody else. I'm not going to get involved in that particular dispute. I use oil, and if it means I have to clean things more frequently, then I will clean things more frequently. Just like on the front, both of these bearings pushed right in. Put the hub back in. Man, that turns nice. Drop the dog bone in. Put my bent screw back in because I don't have a replacement for it right now. Be sure the suspension moves okay. Everything seems right. If it makes it mo better, it makes it mo better. Don't forget to put these pins in here. Drop the hex onto the appropriate pin-sized slot. That feels, in my opinion, better than it did before. I guess we'll see if it's worth the trouble when I do a speed test on it. And I see that I am definitely going to have to redo the front end alignment. The metal upgrade kit that I put on there is slightly different dimension than the plastic pieces it replaced. So my toe is actually now towed in just a tiny bit. Maybe more than a tiny bit. A lot more slack in that than I anticipated there would be. Anyway, we finished these two. I will do the other two, and we'll be back in a bit. If the front set off of here, and one of the things that I noticed, if I actually put a little bit of a side load, like if the wheels are turning and propelling the car forward, if I put a little side load on this, these bushings are actually have a significant amount of drag. I didn't try that with the wheel bearings. So once I get this cleaned up and put the bearings in, I'll see if I feel a difference with a little side loading on it. With no side loading on it, it turns pretty good. This one didn't even have any dirt in it. We'll see if there's any difference. This is kind of went the way I expected it to. I can put a lot of pressure on this, and there is no resistance like there was when it had the bushings in there. Having said that, you know, you kind of logically think this through. When the car's under acceleration, there's going to be some side loading on the bearing, but at absolute top speed, you know, it's not accelerating anymore, so that kind of side loading might go away. So this might not have much of an effect on the top end, but it might in fact help the acceleration. Just things to ponder. As it turns out, this rear screw is also bent just a little bit, so I'll have to order a new set of these. But for today, this is going back like it is. I kind of got shut down in the middle of my project, so if I say anything twice, I'll try to edit it out. If I can't edit it out, we'll just assume that it's profoundly important and I decided to say it twice for emphasis. If that works for you, works for me. Hey, I'm sure some of you guys know, but I don't. I have 4 bearings left over. I assume that these go in the differential, and I bet one of you knows. So if you don't mind, throw that down in the comments, because I'm not going to take that apart today because that's not part of my issue. It might make an improvement in the car, but today that's not what I'm doing. So throw that down in the comments for me and for everybody else, please. Yeah, with those bearings in there, I am able to tighten the wheels, the lug nuts, if you want to call them that, significantly tighter and not bind up like I was when I had the bushings in there. So overall, I think this is going to be a worthwhile change. Hey, my wife just brought something downstairs. It's a big box, RC car, it says. Okay, let's see what it is. This isn't very ceremonious. I just want to see what's in here. Did give me a USA adapter. Okay, that's the right one. That's all I wanted to see. We'll unbox this next time. A959b. Hey, just a parting thought on this, just for those of you that aren't aware. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't have any affiliate links. So all of these cars I'm buying are simply to review so other people can see what they are and what they do and what the potential is. But at this point, all of these are out of my pocket. Yes, it is April in the year 2019 in Colorado. And yes, this is snow. And no, there won't be a speed run on the car today. If you think you got a little something out of this, please subscribe, forward it to a friend, and if you want to see the test drive, be sure and stay tuned, because as soon as we get done with the snow, we're going to do a speed test.